21 means to our businesses.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the changes to Chapter 916 are primarily making changes that Ohio EPA has requested we make, a reference some state and federal code. And then lastly, it gives some of our largest industries, because that's generally what is regulated by this ordinance, it gives them the option to have their sewer bills averaged over a number of months. Because unlike you and I, they receive a water bill, a sewer bill, and then they receive what is a surcharge bill because the strength of their sewage is so much greater than what the rest of us put out. They need to pay additional dollars to get that treated. There are peaks and valleys in those surcharges. This will have them pay the same amount, but it will give them the option to flatten out their bill so they can better budget throughout the course of a year.
Thank you.
Anybody else on first readings? Okay,
To amend the sign district overlay map of Springfield, Ohio as adopted in ordinance number 10317 by amending 4.33 acres at 4440 Leybourne Road, Springfield, Ohio, from green space sign district, commercial highway sign district.
move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, information? The audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
To amend the sign district overlay map of Springfield, Ohio as adopted in ordinance number 10317 by amending 9.81 acres at South Charleston Pike, Springfield, Ohio, from unassigned to commercial highway sign district.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
Amending the zoning map of Springfield, Ohio by rezoning 0.5 acre at 908 West North Street, Springfield, Ohio, from RS5 Low Density Single Family Residence District to CC2 Community Commercial District.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that this item would be tabled, item 09221, until our next commission meeting on May 25th. There were several concerns 2 weeks ago when this item was brought up. I would like our city staff to look into some of the concerns that were made during that time, like the additional 2 weeks, to make sure that this particular rezoning would be in harmony and in concert with the neighborhood. That is why I make.
For a second, that motion.
Mayor, before I would second that, I'd like Steve Thompson to comment with regards to the condition of this facility since the last meeting and let us know what you have found.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. So at the public hearing 2 weeks ago, there were several concerns about the trash in the alley and also the light pole in the parking lot, the condition of it, as well as several vehicles that were parked on the property. I went by today and took a picture. You could go back one, Brian, there. So they did remove the light pole, as you can see, and I believe one of the complaints was several vehicles parked on the property. Those have been removed. I didn't get a picture, but in the alley to the rear of the drive-through, I did not see any trash. So it appears as though they did that up.
I also drove by yesterday and today to make sure it just wasn't a dream. And everything has been cleaned up on that particular location. And I checked behind, all the weeds are cut and everything. And again, it's been what he did, what we asked him to do. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, the complaints that were raised at the public hearing, it appears as though those have all been addressed.
I also drove down the alley today morning and around the building, and I could see how some of the concerns could be quickly raised again. Again, I'm not against this opportunity. I just want us to make sure we're researching and that this goes along with what we want to do within that area. And the alley definitely needs thoughtful help.
for sure.
Anyone in the audience want to speak to this? Please go to a microphone. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Joe Lucas. I'm an attorney. My office is 61 North Dixie Drive, Suite B, Vandalia, Ohio, 45377. I'm an attorney. I represent Springfield Food Market, is a gas station located at 936 West North Street. Which, if you look, go one or two slides back.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up, please, and or closer to the microphone?
I'm sorry. If you could go back one slide, the map, yes. You see there's a large box that's pink in color. That's my client's property at the Sunoco station located at 936 West North Street. My client obviously is a competitor of the applicant tonight, but I'd like to talk just briefly about some of the issues that come up if you do rezone this. So my client has a Sunoco station. A Sunoco station is a gas station that's branded Sunoco. I think the 908 is going to be branded as well. So if the zoning change is permitted, eventually you'll have gas at 908. My client opposes the rezoning, and I just obviously competition is one of the issues, but I'd point out, as a community, any community wants to have development. You want to have development that brings in good things. Good things are things like amenities, jobs, and tax revenue. Right now, the existing property is a drive-through and it's got a grocery store. If you allow gas, you're not really going to create any new job. The property will still have the same number of cashiers working there. It's not going to be that different. The reason why you have gas is simply to increase your traffic flow in that kind of a business. So as far as amenities go, a gas station's a wonderful thing. And I think the folks of Virginia who don't have gas in their gas tank right now, they know how wonderful gas is. And it's important to have access to it. But to have two gas stations on the same one-way street within 50 feet of each other, probably a little bit overkill. And one of the effects that has is that your existing business, which again is my client at 936, we are suffering because we're not doing a lot of volume. I think there was testimony 2 weeks ago. They did about 25,000 gallons a month. For a gas station, that's a low volume. So you're cannibalizing an existing business if you permit what will ultimately result in a gas station at this new property. Another thing that to think about is from a convenience standpoint, what makes the gas station great? What makes a gas station great in my mind is that I can pull in with a right turn and I can pull out with a right turn. If you had a two-way street, you would want to have a gas station on both sides of the street, and they don't really compete with each other. But if you have a one-way street, you're competing directly with each other, and especially if you're within a one-block distance, there's not necessarily a positive need for that. You're not meeting an unmet need in your community.
You wrap up, please.
Yes. Finally, I just simply say that gas stations, we don't sell different products, sell the same kinds of things. You're not getting a different product being sold. And finally, because of the size of the lot, this is actually a smaller lot than my client's lot. You're not going to have more spread out, safer environment. You're basically going to have a very compact environment. So it's not necessarily any safer or more convenient than what's already.
I'd like to 2 points of clarity. One, we have not had a second on this motion. Two, I am not asking to table this as far as dealing with any level of competition. This has nothing to do with that. This is simply looking at the zoning opportunity for the area and if it's the right fit for their area. It's zoning completely. I have no opinion about their business model, how much gas flows in or out of there or anything. This is about a zone, okay?
Mayor, if Commissioner Rue is asking us to table this because one of our commissioners is not here because of a death in his family, I would be more than happy to second that because I don't want this to go with a 4 vote and this gentleman lose because he has done what he said he was going to do. So I don't have a problem was seconding it, so we vote to see if we want to table it, because we have a commissioner that is missing through no fault of his own, and he has requested this. So I am seconding the motion that we table it for 2 weeks.
Anything else? The clerk rule on the call the roll for the motion.
Mrs. Chilton,
I'm gonna have to vote no, because this will be going to, I'm taking it, the zoning board, is that correct, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, it's been to city planning board.
And when I first went by the station, I mean, I was kind of like, really? With all the vehicles parked on the side and all the traffic. And they have done a 100% turnaround. I was totally impressed. So I'm gonna vote no on tabling it.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
I'm probably going to vote for this in 2 weeks, but I'm quite willing to vote no because we have a fourth member missing and he really wanted this to be.
And the second reason, again, is that our staff make sure, I know that Steve has provided us with a good report. Want to make sure we follow through with this thing.
as a matter
I
of,
think everyone needs to understand there's probably close to a majority of will vote yes. Okay?
excuse me, Mayor, are you voting for the table or against the tabling?
No, I voted to table it all.
Thank you.
Okay? Clerk will proceed.
Authorizing the issuance of a purchase order for the purchase of one service body and hydraulic crane from Ace Truck Body for an amount not to exceed $104,995.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
Authorizing the purchase of one SC 802 stump grinder from Vermeer Heartland Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $45,359 through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services pursuant to Ohio's Cooperative Purchasing Act in accordance with the provisions of Section 125.04 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? The audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
Authorizing a reduction in the 2020 rent of the Burner Farms cropland lease agreement in the amount of $2,292.05.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience?
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
adopting the 2021-2022 goals and objectives as discussed at the 2021 City Commission retreat.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
I have a question on are we going to handle these like we did last year? We're going to be referred back to them every couple of months to get a progress report?
Yes, the intention, commissioners, is to do various work sessions throughout the year that would touch on each objective and each.
And I have a question on 1E. Would you talk about the goals for that, please, for the planning 5-year?
Yeah, specifically, a couple of years ago, the commission asked both the finance director and the city manager to provide more frequent updates throughout the year as it relates to our 5-year financial forecast. So take current economic conditions, also looking at various trends that could impact or affect our financials moving forward in that 5-year outlook. So throughout the year, Mark will provide updates to the commissioners of what that forecast is like, where we're heading as.
Thank you.
I just want to thank the citizens of Springfield for renewing our tax levy, and that the goals and objectives have been a guiding point for the last 3 years that I've been on commission, maybe before or not. But at the same point, there has been a lot of forward momentum in the community. I think that the vote recognizes that there's been forward momentum. If you look in the paper today, there was an excellent article, several quotes from the commission from the Warren Copeland about the goals and objectives. I encourage the city and citizens to read through that, because it defines very well the goals and objectives we have for 21 and 22. So thank you, and I'm glad we're doing this.
Anyone in the audience want to speak to this? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming purchases and the obtaining of services for the city and providing for payments therefore, and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming and approving change order number 10 to the contract between the city and Moody's of Dayton Incorporated for the well pump cleaning and rehabilitation project to increase the contract in an amount not to exceed $11,459 for a total amount not to exceed $1,307,794, authorizing the city manager to execute said change order number 10 and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant through the Ohio Department of Transportation Aviation Division in amount up to $1,259,700 for removal of existing taxiway C and the construction of a new perpendicular taxiway to meet current FAA design standards at the Springfield-Beckley Municipal Airport, authorizing an expenditure of up to $66,300 to be used as local matching funds, authorizing the city manager, law director, airport manager, and the director of finance to do all things necessary for the submission of the application and to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments from the commission? Audience? Clerk, call.
Mrs. Chilton?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant through the Ohio Department of Transportation Aviation Division in an amount up to $277,685 for the replacement of precision approach path indicator light on runway 624 at the Springfield-Beckley Municipal Airport, authorizing an expenditure of up to $73,815 to be used as local matching funds, authorizing the city manager, law director, airport manager, and director of finance to do all things necessary for the submission of the application and to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming and approving change order number 3 to the contract between the city and J&J Schlagel Incorporated for the CLA Belmont Avenue Reconstruction Phase 2 project, PID number 94814, rebid to decrease the contract in an amount not to exceed $87,067.92 for a total amount not to exceed $2,571,382.26 and to extend the contract completion date to October 30th, 2020, and authorizing the city manager to execute said change order number 3 and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Comments from the commission?
Yes. Is this completed? Does this complete the Belmont Avenue reconstruction phase?
Yes, it does. This is a final change order. As you know, Commission, we did seek the contractor to make the project right. They did such at their cost, not at any additional expense to the city. Big thanks to Chris and his team, as well as Jill Allen and her team, and work to get the contractor right by
Bill and Chris.
You know, what's funny about that is I drove down that after they fixed it the first time. I thought it was pretty good. And so I'm certainly glad we have a staff that knows what the heck they're looking at. Because now I guess it's really good because it feels the same to me. But I appreciate it being done.
Anyone else? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a development incentive agreement, single-family residential development with Alexander Roberts, to provide for water services to real property outside the city limits and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? Audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a development incentive agreement, single-family residential development with Jack A. and Arlene S. Brannon, to provide for sewer services to real property outside the city limits and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Yes. This is a question for Chris. If there are other residents that have their private wells not functioning or in need of city services, what is the process?
If there's someone that is near or adjacent to one of our water or sewer lines, they should contact us at the service center at 525-5800. And we work with them on what it would take to be connected. And sometimes it requires a utility extension. Sometimes it requires a pump. Every case is different, but we have a staff member that works with people on a daily basis on those issues.
So somebody should call the service center
Yes,
first.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
You'll work with, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with C&N Contractors Incorporated for the police locker room upgrade project for an amount not to exceed $133,000 and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
consenting to the appointment of Dan Badger, Fred Isert, and Adam Perillo to the Airport Advisory Board and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Grocery Land Properties LLC for the redevelopment of the former Kroger grocery store previously located at 1822 South Limestone Street and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
One thing I'd like to say is, again, I really, being a business owner also, it takes a lot of courage to step up when no change is and you're putting your own money in. I am so happy that you're coming to Springfield and making the South End somewhat whole again, because they needed a grocery store really bad. And hopefully you'll be the nucleus that really kicks the development off out there.
I could echo everything, but I still think, I just want to thank you for the investment, for taking the risk, but also believing in the vision that you're seeing in Springfield and saying it's worth it.
Whenever you want, Sonny.
Always sunny.
I would like to make a comment and thank Kroger Limited Partnership for donating the property to the citizens of the city of Springfield. And also, I would like to thank our city
nice.
staff. I mean, you guys really worked on this, so we are appreciative. Thank you.
Yes, I've already said my word. My wife and I will welcome you with arms wide open. Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes. That concludes our agenda. Are there other? Oh, yes, forgot about you, Sonny.
For the record, Sunny Dingra, 2760 Kilkenny Drive, Springfield, Ohio. I want to start by thanking Brian Heck, the city manager, Tom Franzen. I was told government works very slowly. If they want to see how things get done fast, they should come to Springfield and see how we got this done as quickly as we have. Mayor went with us to Lebanon to look at the store. I don't know of another mayor that would get in a vehicle and drive 2.5 hours to look at a grocery store to make sure it was the right one for his city and our city. And then getting this whole thing done and passed very quickly. Dr. Patel and his team, they're awesome. They believe in Springfield. And with everything that we read in the papers in the last 3 months, it's like, for me, a dream come true that I've been waiting for 37 years. This is amazing. So city commissioners, thank you. Land Bank, thank you. Brian Heck and Tom Franzen, I don't know what to say. And let's welcome him, let's promote him so it's successful and that end of town just absolutely booms. And that's my next prayer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vipul Patel, 2532 Muirfield Drive, Beaver Creek, Ohio. I have been working in the Springfield for last 18 years. I love this community, and this was the right opportunity for me, and I love to serve that side of town. I probably am going to bring a lot more projects on that side of town in the next few years. Thank you very much, Mayor Copeland, Mr. Hack, Mr. Franzen, and Mr. Sunny Dingra for all your help.
We thank you. At least at this point, I don't think I have any money committed. You have a lot. Okay? Okay, are there other items come before the commission from commission?
I just wanted to say, I think a couple of weeks ago, I had asked about Elvis coming to town with the Art Council, Springfield Art Council. Well, he is coming to town. Clark County Fair on July the 26th at 8 o'clock. He will be at the Clark County Fair. So I wanted to say that and ask our city manager to talk about the fact that Memorial Day Parade is on.
Yes, commissioners. John Stewart, who has taken over the reins from his dad, I believe also John Stewart, does plan to continue the parade this year with COVID-19 protocols in place. He's worked directly with Charlie Patterson at the Health District following Ohio Department of Health guidelines for parades, festivals, and so forth. So yes, he does plan to bring the parade back this year, which will be a welcome sign of somewhat being back to normal for our.
Anything else?
Somebody's got to ask Mark Bechtel about finance. Because Doc,
do that.
Doc would not like that.
First of all, the Finance Director thanks the City of Springfield for passing the 4/10 additional income tax.
Not additional.
Well,
Renewal.
renewal. I'm sorry.
How could I have that right? You did.
I do sleep better at night because of that. So, but again, thank you very much. I think there's a lot of good things happening in Springfield right now, and we hope to continue to move forward in that direction. So, and as far as our current finances go, we are in good shape. Good cash balances and exceeded our budget for the first 4 months.
I just think it's worth saying that a 10-year renewal enables this community to really push forward on the momentum and really, 5-year plans are great, but 10-year changes the community in a just a really positive way. We have that opportunity now.
Yeah, and if I may, I echo those comments. Just again, thank you to the citizens of Springfield for stepping up for our community and believing in our community. We've made great strides over the last 4 years. We've seen the investment, seen the improvement. We see that we're moving forward as a community. And I promise you, over the next 10 years of this renewal, you will be proud that you supported our organization, really this, because we are moving forward together.
Anyone else? I have a card from Beth. Please go to the microphone. We have a 3-minute limit.
Okay, good evening.
Sure.
I, for one, I've been here for 31 years, and I have noticed downtown is so much prettier. It's nice to walk. So I do see things being done. I think other people do. I think that's great. I think all things really start at home for change. And tonight, you've touched on COVID. I would like to touch on COVID. There's so many different views and reports and studies out there. I kind of take my own pulse because I don't believe our mainstream media really tells us what's going on. And I think there's a lot of things going on since Joe Biden took over our administration and the government. So when I'm out, which is, every few days I have to go get something, whether it's the grocery store or whatever store, the gas station, I ask people what they think. And in a way, I'm kind of afraid to ask those hard questions, but I have been on a lot of different topics that are flying around our country. But I do want to start with the COVID tonight. We as Ohioans and Americans, we said, okay, we'll wear a mask for a few weeks. We'll do that. We like our neighbors. We like our family. We want to go to the gas station. And then, it's kind of got strung out. We kind of felt strung out over the summer. In November, there was hope. We have a vaccine. And we can lose those masks. We can get back to real life. Well, I watched Joe Biden. I believe it was December 8th. I'm not quite sure about that date. But I watched him live on TV get his vaccine. And over the months, I have watched, Americans all over. I've watched Ohioans, many Ohioans I know have gotten vaccinated because we thought we could take off our masks and go back to whatever is normal we used to have. I've also listened, I have a tendency to dig around for things, but I will listen to the mainstream media and I will listen to other conservative things. I want to know what everybody thinks. And Dr. Fauci, began with a few weeks and then it turned into we need to be spaced out. Well, I and a lot of the people I've talked to, we feel like that we've come this far. We've gotten our vaccination. If I have my vaccination, I feel safe. I'm not worried about Joe in the grocery store who may not have gotten a vaccine because my vaccine works for me. So I've also watched my grandchildren in school, actually my grandson in school for seven hours a day, who has to wear a mask, who can only take it off when he's eating lunch or a snack. He has to play in that mask, even if they're outside. Well, we also were asked to watch the science and believe the science. But the conflicting things that are coming from Dr. Fauci, the CDC, the reports that come from universities, several universities, I've read reports. I've read reports about
You need to wrap up fairly quickly.
Well, I will, but I need to have a voice too.
Yeah, but we have a time limit and I have to apply it to everyone equally.
Okay. Well, I've watched Joe Biden open our borders and allow COVID go through our country. And so I did look at the statistics. Masks, they don't help. Even Dr. Fauci said, wear 2, wear 3. You know, where are we on that? So tonight, I will say I'll be here for the next weeks and months to come because I believe things start at home. And I do believe we need to be unified and together. But I believe a lot of Springfieldians and Ohioans and Americans are done wearing a mask. So I ask you, because I have contacted Congressman,
Please wrap up.
the senator. So I'm asking you to please talk to our governor, send him notes to get rid of the mask mandates and the other mandates Ohio has on their businesses. Thank you.
Just so everyone's clear, what they do say is that if you have been vaccinated and the people you're with have been vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask in their home. Okay, is there anything else? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We do have an executive.
Oh, that's right.
I move we go into
We're-
executive session
On personnel.
on personnel.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. We will adjourn out of that executive session, so the open meeting is completed.